This is the Yocal Idaho Midweek Report, where we give you a quick overview of the news in Idaho for the last week. Particularly this week, it was a little bit slower on the news, but our main stories will be looking at how some transgender inmates are fighting against Idaho's House Bill 668, which we've talked about in Idaho Bill Breakdown, so link, go check that out. Labrador is taking a second swing as well at ranked choice voting and trying to get it off the ballot, and an update on all the wonderful wildfires that have been happening in the state here. But starting off with that first one there, 2 male inmates, key bit being male, in Idaho have filed a lawsuit against the state challenging House Bill 668. Which, if you haven't listened to our Idaho Bill breakdowns, that bill prohibits the use of state funds for gender-altering treatments. The plaintiffs, who identify as transgender women, claim the law violates their 8th Amendment rights by denying them hormone therapy. Shocker there. A federal judge has granted a preliminary injunction, which, for those who don't know what that might be, it exempts inmates diagnosed with gender dysphoria from the law during the course of the lawsuit. Specifically, the case kind of highlights the ongoing debate between biological reality and gender ideology that we're having here in America. While the plaintiffs argue for continued hormone treatments, the state maintains its right to set medical standards in correctional institutions, specifically those like jails there. The lawsuit raises questions about the appropriate use of taxpayer funds, especially when the taxpayers just voted and the representatives have, and the state's responsibility to inmates. But moving forward, as the legal battle unfolds there, it's important to remember that true compassion, true caring, true love involves addressing the really underlying psychological issues rather than reinforcing false beliefs about some gender identity or whatever else. The outcome of this case could have some significant implications of how gender dysphoria is treated in Idaho's correctional systems and other places beyond, especially those that get taxpayer money. And staying with the theme of legal stuff there, Idaho's Attorney General Labrador has filed a lawsuit challenging the ballot initiative for ranked choice voting. Legal battle is centered on whether the initiative, branded as open primaries, misleads voters during signature collection. Specifically, Labrador argues that the Group for Idahoans for Open Primaries continued using this term, open primaries, even after the Idaho Supreme Court clarified it was not accurate. The case now rests with Judge Patrick Miller, who will decide if the initiative appears on the November 5th ballot. Luke Manville, the spokesperson for the initiative for open primaries and all that stuff and ranked choice voting, maintains that voters are fully informed about the proposal's content. Now, for those that haven't heard about it, the initiative aims to replace the party nominee selection with a top 4 primary and implementing ranked choice voting in general elections. So basically, the way that we vote right now is you have the list of all the candidates that are chosen by their parties in the primary system, and then you vote, and one vote is just one vote with ranked choice voting. You would rank all the people that you want because there wouldn't be a primary to filter them. You'd rank it from your most wanted to least wanted, and then they would go through the ranking of everyone to see which one had greater than 51% and stuff like that. But moving forward towards November, this legal battle highlights the pushback against ranked choice voting, especially here in Idaho elections, with significant implications on what will be on Idaho's November ballot. And taking a swing out of politics, granted politics affects everything in Idaho, Idaho's Boise National Forest is currently battling 7 major wildfires, collectively burning about 367,000 acres. Not fun for us hikers. The first one to highlight for this last week was the Wapita fire. It is the largest and most concerning fire. It has consumed a staggering 172,027 acres and is only 12% contained. It's located in the heart of the Boise National Forest in kind of central Idaho, if that gives you an idea where it's at there. It poses some significant challenges, though, for firefighters and local communities because it's located in the tough terrain over there by the Sawtooth Mountains, which is very steep and very rugged and remote, so it's making it really hard for them to fight it. And then just east near Garden Valley, so east of the one we just talked about, the Nellie fire has scorched nearly 50,000 acres with zero containment still on that. This uncontrolled inferno is also threatening nearby residents and areas and wildlife habitats. No shocker there. Then there's the Goat fire, which you may not have heard as much about. It is burning north and situated about 11 miles southeast of Cascade. It has burned about 21,000 acres and also is not contained at all as well. Then there's the Snag fire. That Snag fire is about 9.7 miles east of Cascade. Cascade's just in a ring of fire right now, is engulfed about 33,013 acres and is 15% contained, so a little better on that. Firefighters are working tirelessly to prevent it from spreading towards the more populated area down there in the valley. Then there is the Dollar Fire, which is northeast of Cascade. It's a bit smaller at about 4,293 acres burned and remains a little bit concerning, though, however, because it's only 8% contained. And then we come to the last two here. Southwest of Cascade, there are two more fires raging. There's the Boulder Fire, which has burned about 8,390 acres, but shows some promise with 24% of it contained, which is the best out of all the ones we've talked about so far. However, sadly, on a downturn there, the Lava Fire, which is close to it, represents a little bit more of a graver threat because it has consumed about 78,456 acres and is 0% contained as well. Sadly, looking at the overall implication of all this, the wildfires over by the Sawtooths have forced the closure of State Highway 21 from Sourdough Lodge to Stanley, which has significantly impacted travel and local commerce in the area over there. There are also evacuation orders in effect for several areas, including Lower Stanley. The fire has also led to poor air quality across much of Montana, nearby states, and shocker, as we all know, Idaho, with a lot of the smoke sadly being visible from satellite there. But moving forward, as firefighters and support personnel battle these blazes, the situation remains rather dynamic, with some of these fires not having any containment, as we've talked about, so they can go in all sorts of directions. Authorities are encouraging residents to stay informed and follow evacuation orders and be prepared for potential impacts on air quality and daily life. So we'll have a link down below for Idaho Fish and Game's map that kind of shows what's going on in the fires, and it's the most, I would say, authoritative source on what's going on, so you can stay up to date. But encouragingly, out of all this, firefighting efforts include over 15,600 personnel nationwide, so a certain fraction of that is here in Idaho, with international support from Australia and New Zealand. So hopefully we can get these fires under control and maybe some rain can come to put them out. Which, if you liked our first three stories here and they were helpful, do us a favor and hit the like button on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitter. It helps us reach more folks who love Idaho just like you. Now, coming into our next section here and coming to the Treasure Valley a little bit, there's a trial between Big City Coffee and Boise State University underway, if you haven't heard about it, which is shedding some light on a complex clash between the values of the university and constitutional rights. Sarah Jo Fidley, owner of Big City Coffee, is suing two former BSU administrators, alleging they infringed on her constitutional rights by forcing her off campus. The case stems from a controversy in 2020, pandemic time, when student activists protested the Big City Coffee's presence on campus due to Fidley's support for law enforcement. The really key piece of the case here is some evidence. It is a partial recording of a meeting between Fidley and the university officials and others, which in this recording, it captures the tension between Fidley's desire for the university support and the administrative struggle as they're trying to appease the students, but also stay within legal parameters there. The trial is exploring whether BSU unfairly pushed out a local business or if they're protecting students' First Amendment rights in the actions that they took there. But moving forward with the case, as the proceedings continue, both sides present their narratives. Fidley claims that she was ambushed and unsupported, while BSU argues that they were navigating a complex political and cultural moment. The outcome of the trial could have some significant implications for free speech and business operations on college campuses, which lean a little bit more left there. And speaking of education, Idaho Family Policy Center is spearheading a petition to reintroduce the Bible into reading in public schools. This initiative aims to restore the most influential book to our nation's founders back into our children's education here in Idaho. The specific details about the initiative is that our founding fathers saw the Bible as a cornerstone of our nation's/state's greatness and moral foundation. Now, we as Idahoans have the opportunity to bring it back. The center is calling on Idahoans who value America's and Idaho's Christian heritage to get involved. Their goal is to present a strong case to the Idaho legislature in the coming months based off this initiative. For those interested and wanting to get involved, you can download a petition sheet from their website and gather signatures in your local community, be it at church, small groups, or other Christian schools, primarily Christian. The deadline for submitting signatures is December 1st. If you agree with having the Bible back in schools and that it is a fundamental building block of Western culture and American culture, maybe consider getting involved. And moving back to fire, because that past story probably is going to have some people angry. A devastating fire has destroyed the iconic Wolf Lodge Inn, a beloved steakhouse east of Coeur d'Alene, up north there. The blaze, which broke out on September 2nd, quickly engulfed the historic structure, leaving only a bit of some charred remains. If you want to check below, the articles have some photos. It's really sad to see the progress that happened there. Not progress. It's really sad to see what happened there. But for all of us here in the Treasure Valley or other parts of the state that haven't gone to the Wolf Lodge there, it has been up there for over 5 decades and has become a cherished landmark and gathering place for locals and tourists alike. The main reason being is because it is known for its massive wood fire steaks and rustic ambiance. Man, that sounds tasty. It sounds also nice to be there. The loss is particularly poignant for longtime employees like Nicole Martel, who called it her home away from home for nearly 28 years. But moving forward, for those up there, investigators are ruling out criminal activity and looking into that, but the community has rallied around the affected staff with a GoFundMe campaign already raising thousands. Now, while the future remains uncertain if they're going to be able to raise enough funds and if it's all going to be able to work out, many are hoping to see the iconic piece of Idaho history rebuilt up there if they can get enough funding. Which, if you want that to happen and want people to be better informed about Idaho, please don't hesitate to share this episode. Your shares help us spread the word about our beautiful state and stories like this. And cruising right along and staying up north just a little further, though, Foster's Crossing, an antique store in Sandpoint, has been awarded Best Antique Store for the 4th consecutive year up there. The 3-story treasure trove of an antique store is housed in a 1930s railroad freight house. Can't get more classic than that for an antique store, offering a unique shopping experience with over 40 curated vendor spaces. For a little bit of background on it, the store covers vintage furniture to local arts. Foster's Crossing caters to all tastes and interests for antiquers. Owner Tina Reynolds contributes their success to a diverse mix of vendors and a commitment to repurposing and restoring items from the past. The store includes a very rich history for how long it's been around. The staff, as I was researching, are said to be very friendly. And the inventory regularly changes over with the amount of people going in and just how many vendors they have there, making it, I would say, a very attractive place to visit if you're up north, or for people like myself that will tour around the state. I'm going to definitely mark this on my map. But moving forward, as Foster's Crossing approaches its 46th anniversary this November and continues to charm visitors with its warm atmosphere and vintage offerings, definitely solidifying its place as a vintage landmark in northern Idaho for all those that love antiquing. Okay, if you've liked this episode so far and don't want to miss out on our future ones, please hit subscribe. Working on a lot of amazing new content about Idaho so you can stay informed and learn more about the beautiful state we all love so dearly. And wrapping us up here with our last 3, Canyon County's ambulance district is gearing up for another levy attempt this November, because yay, politics, following the failure of an $8 million proposal in May. Shocking, it's almost like people don't have a lot of money they want to spend. Chief Michael Stoll emphasized the critical need for funding despite having to scale back the request. The district is currently, quote, operating on a skeleton crew, which they argue could potentially put the Canyon County area at risk. Without additional funds, those in Canyon County may face situations where ambulances aren't available when needed. The proposed levy would support a new station, more staff, and equipment. To make ends meet, currently the district says that they are left with unfilled positions and just having to adjust the schedule accordingly. However, with the current pay rates that they have, they're arguing that they're significantly lower than other agencies in the area, which could make it really hard or concerning to retain staff when there's better paying jobs jobs in the valley. But looking forward to November as it approaches, we'll have to decide here in Canyon County about the future of our emergency services and if we want to allocate those funds and if it's even warranted. It's best to start probably researching right now to really see if it's something that as a community in Canyon County people can afford, or if it's just not on the table and we've got to adapt and overcome. And speaking of more exciting and enjoyable things, moving over to Eastern Idaho, there's some exciting news for airsoft enthusiasts in Eastern Idaho. Advantage Airsoft has opened a new indoor venue in Rigby, breathing new life into the old sugar factory over there. Specifically, the new range, which is going to be about 4,500 square feet space, is offering an enclosed area for airsoft shootouts, complete with some gun rentals and purchases there that you can do. It was owned by Ammon Howard and Joseph Sevi. The venue has quickly become quite popular from the research I found there, attracting about 60 to 80 players weekly, so pretty nice turnover rate there. Location is nicknamed the Factory and also serves as a training ground for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Cheaper way than burning a lot of ammo. But looking forward, Howard hopes to expand the facility in the future, potentially making it a hub for airsoft enthusiasts from Rigby to Rexburg. If you're curious and love airsoft, for more information, you can go check the article below, or to book, you can check out their website or their Facebook page. But sadly, I have to head out here. Thank you for listening to the entire report. I sincerely hope you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you like the Midweek Report, make sure to check out the rest of our content on our YouTube page. We're always working on new stuff. Also, if we missed any important points or provided incorrect information, please feel free to reach out to us via email at lyimedia@protonmail.com or on Twitter by tweeting me at local Yocal Idaho. With the small team we have, we're not able to cover everything, but we do our best to cover the most interesting and important stories. That's all for now. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Godspeed.